turning players into payers. The Jimquisition.
Turning players into payers.
I think some of you are going to like this episode. You might not like what it has to say, but this has been the product of a good few weeks of research, of back and forth, of investigation, and I think I've put together a very compelling video.
Turning players into payers.
Before we properly crack on, though, I want to preempt some of the arguments that I think are going to come.
All right.
Mainly, yes, microtransactions, monetization, games as service are popular.
Yep.
They make a lot of money, basically. A ton of money. Inconceivable amounts of money. But it's important to remember that a lot of this money comes from a very small percentage of the audience.
Oh.
The so-called whales who spend massive amounts
True.
of money on in-game purchases. And that, to me, looks like game publishers are building entire empires on sand. It's not the most reliable, not the most stable business model, is it, to go all in on a handful of peeps?
Well, it's not a problem until it's a problem. I'll say that.
And when that bubble bursts,
Bro, actually, to go into that even more, do you think like some of these companies, like, they can obviously see the accounts that are like the whale accounts. So if they make, like, if you have like one company that's like a gacha company and they make multiple gacha games, do you think they can see like a single account like on one game and will maybe like predict to see if that same account or whatever, provided like the game is like on some sort of like launcher or whatever, do you think they will try to predict if that same account will spend money like in another game and we'll try to just bank on that? Oh man.
I feel like it's going to be very, very ugly. Speaking of very, very ugly, recently Activision came under heavy fire after the discovery of a patent it filed pertaining to a method in which online matchmaking itself would be weaponized in order to try and force customers into spending extra money on additional content. At its most basic.
Okay, just as a quickie, I am late to the party. This video is 5 years old, and it just popped into my feed one day. And so I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. So I wanted to watch it. Who cares if I'm late to the party? Who gives a shit? Okay. Okay, let me see this. Identify item that may be relevant to a first player. All right. Next, identify second player that possesses the item. All right. Tune match variables and or coefficients to match first and second players. All right. So now they're in the same match. Match first and second players. All right. Sure. First player purchase item? Yes, no? Okay, so they did not purchase the item. So update the player profile to indicate non-purchase. Ooh, they didn't buy the item. You just painted a target on your head, you non-payer poor person. Oh, did they? Yes. Place first player in a gameplay session for which the item is effective. Ooh, you just bought the thing, now go use the thing. And then you will feel the power of your real world money being used in that game. So you like that dopamine hit? Great. Do it again.
Such an idea takes a new player, works out the kind of stuff that player would like, then takes veteran players with said content, matches them up against the new players with the idea that the new players will get their asses kicked, think, oh, I'd do a lot better if I had the stuff that other player had, and then they'll want to buy additional stuff off Activision in order to gain a competitive edge. It's as fucking insidious as it sounds, and do you know how fucking insidious it sounds? Really fucking insidious.
Yeah.
That's how insidious it sounds. While Activision maintains it's never implemented such a scheme in its games, to date, it's still a grasping, pathetic idea from a grasping, pathetic industry that has grown more frantic than ever when it comes to scraping additional cash out of its audience's wallets. That said, a patent is just a patent and is never explicit proof that something's actually happening in the industry.
I mean, yeah, but like, why would somebody try to patent something and then not use it?
However, just because Activision's slimy little scam may be just written on paper, it doesn't mean that games aren't already using player data in a variety of sinister and worrying ways, so much so that entire businesses are being built purely off the back of such data use. I've been looking at a company after a disgusted anonymous developer contacted me about it, having just got done seeing companies gloating about how much extra money they could exploit from their customers using what I'm about to discuss. If you've never heard of it, allow me to introduce to you scientific revenue. Better yet, grab a large industrial-grade vomit bag and let scientific revenue introduce itself with this video package it proudly shares on its site.
Mobile games are a massive business.
Mobile
but competition
games
is fierce, and the cost to acquire new players keeps going up. To have
Gotcha.
any chance of turning players into payers, game developers need to get their in-app purchases right. To boost revenue, you need deep insights into your players and the ability to customize prices for
that's
each.
good.
What if you could deliver the right price at the right time for the right buyer? We deliver dynamic pricing that increases conversion, reduces churn, and boosts the lifetime revenue of your app.
Oh my
Our plugin
god.
easily integrates into your game and common game development environments.
Okay. Bro, dynamic pricing? Like what? So what? The skin is $6 one day and then what, $10 another day? What are you getting at?
Where it captures hundreds of data points that inform purchase decisions. With predictive analytics and machine learning, our dynamic pricing engine...
Bro, look at this. Phone type. Are you a brokey? Or are you swimming? Like your phone type. Oh my god. They have you down to your phone type. Oh my god. Do you got the latest iPhone? Got the latest Android? Shit, milk that motherfucker. Oh, does this guy have like a phone that's only like a year or two old? Man, he ain't got no money. You gotta dip the price down for that guy. Duration of play. Is he a filthy casual? Only playing the mobile game for like the allotted time that he earns, like when it's not on, and then just plays it, and then when it times him out, he's just like, oh. Versus the other person that, you know, they play for the allotted time, and oh, do you want to buy some more time to play it? Like, sure, buy. Or maybe it's a little kid, like, with their like parents' credit card that's just saved on Google or whatever, and they're just like, do you want to use this card? And he's like, yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Oh my god, the level in the game. Yep. The higher the level you are in a game, or whatever, if your account is like a high level, the more likely you are to spend money in a game. Location. Ooh, this matters too. Oh my god. This is so funny, dude. Do you live in broke ass Florida? Or do you live in rich ass New York City? Oh my god. Wallet spend. Oh, so they have your wallet history on there. Nice. Intensity of engagement. What the fuck is this? How do you measure intensity of engagement? Like I'm thinking like mobile game on phone intensity. Like, can they figure out like how much your finger is pressing on the phone to like do your swipes or whatever game you're playing? And do they correlate like the harder you press your finger, the more like dopamine you want to get out of your shit, versus someone that's like, I don't care. Oh, this game's stupid. Later. Day of the week. Yep. Every Thursday or Friday, every 2 weeks. Oh, this motherfucker's getting paid. So we gotta drop the prices on the Thursdays and the Fridays because he got some money. He sees a sale. He's gonna want to go get that skin. He's gonna want to go get that item. Whatever. Affluence. Sure. Like, call it spend in affluence. Like your credit history, your credit cards, your spending history. Like what?
Analyzes pricing signals, segments players in real time, and automatically delivers targeted pricing. With better insights at your fingertips, you can keep improving engagement and retention. Now, nothing stands between you and monetization.
Yeah. Or, you know, you can just, nah. I was gonna say your consumer base like just wisens up one day and just decides to just stop spending. No, but then you got the random like 1%, 2% of whales that just completely fund the game and have no shame in dropping hundreds of thousands, perhaps even millions of dollars on your mobile game, which is not uncommon. And they completely fund that game from that 1 or 2%, like Jim said before.
Turning players into payers.
Mayhaps you were too busy cringing at the embarrassing faux-friendly corporatism to watch it, but that introductory video pretty much explains how you, the players, are being observed and studied by a piece of software, learning what it can about your income, when you play, how you play, where you play, even what type of phone you have, to better know how to hit you with in-app purchases. Essentially, scientific revenue is a stealth predator that mobile games have been integrating into their products that it may hide in the bushes and wait to pounce when you're at your most susceptible.
Yeah.
Scientific revenue claims that with no effort on the part of the developers themselves, a game can increase its cash intake by 20 to 40% simply by knowing when to offer additional purchases and how much to charge individual players. The latter part is what scientific revenue proudly calls dynamic pricing, and it's not new. Scientific revenue certainly.
What if there was a law that just completely prohibited this app or whatever the fuck this thing is, scientific revenue? What if all of a sudden all the politicians were just like what if one game like just dropped or whatever, and like all their like sons, daughters, their kids, their nieces, their kids or whatever, like all of their kids just collectively, just at random, just start charging the fuck out of their out of their parents' cards, and all of these senators were like, man, I had this really weird purchase that, like on my bank statement or whatever, and it's like I guess my my kid bought like $1,000 worth of like these like pink crystals for this one game. It's really weird. And then all of a sudden someone else chimes in, oh yeah, that happened to me too. What game was it? It's so and so mobile whatever. Like, what if that were to happen? Like, what are the chances of that happening? You know? And then all of a sudden it's like they just like pass something. They like fix their shit. I don't know. That's like a dream that'll never happen.
Isn't the only company doing it. Zynga, the closest thing mobile gaming has to Satan's foreskin, caused a minor uproar when it was caught offering the same content to different customers at different prices, experimenting with the dynamic purchase model. In any case, players of mobile games might not realize that so-called machine learning is watching everything they do, getting to know them, learning their resistances and weaknesses like they're bloody orcs in Shadow of Mordor. To me, the sheer existence of scientific revenue, which incidentally has former PlayStation honcho Jack Tratton on the team, yeah, that's where he ended up, puts paid to the claim that the game industry merely considers microtransactions as optional. Oh, microtransactions are just there as an option. It's all about player choice, player freedom.
I mean, yes. However, most consumers of video games are kids. Granted, that audience is getting older and there's like more and more new kids coming into the audience. Most kids are fucking stupid. All right. They don't understand what they're doing when they just like buy all the crystals, buy more coins. You know, they don't understand. They just know I got more stuff in the game and it doesn't really hit me because it's not my money. It's my mom's money. It's my dad's money or whatever. And kids are just going to do whatever. All right.
You know, the usual bullshit excuses corporate mouthpieces trot out when they defend their decision to shovel microtransactions into their games. The fact there's a market for predatory microtransactions, ones designed to seek you out even if you want to ignore them, says that no, game companies aren't interested in simply offering players choices. They want to get what they've always wanted. All of your money, as much as it could possibly carry. And another crucial impression I get from this is that, yeah, for a lot of people, they can ignore loot boxes, microtransactions, all that stuff. And the current glorified gambling craze sweeping across the industry is predominantly geared toward exploiting the more easily exploitable. But with this sort of stuff, they're coming for everybody.
Yeah.
Winter is coming for you. And companies have
Well, newsflash, Jim, it's 5 years later, and we're in the thick of it still, and it's only getting bigger.
really demonstrated that they are nowhere near above increasingly desperate methods of beating you around the head until you surrender and hand over more money. In the same way Valve uses algorithms to sell you games based on your interests, games themselves seem interested in using algorithms to sell you more of, well, themselves based on everything they can find out about you. I reached out to Scientific Revenue personally to find out more, asking some pointed questions about the ethics, the implementation, and exploitative potential of its service.
There's no way they answered you, dude.
In a very interesting move, the company's response was to use Gama Sutra to publicly address and somewhat belittle my concerns before I ever had a chance to publish anything myself. CEO Bill Grosso lays out a picturesque description of dynamic pricing, comparing it to established instances of price flexibility, such as auctions, okay, airline prices, okay, and surge pricing, such as when Uber raises its fares during.
He actually got an answer. Oh my god. I kind of want to read this. That's a broad definition and encompasses many different pricing strategies. For example, auctions. Every time someone bids, the price changes for everyone. This isn't usually thought of as dynamic pricing, but the seller isn't fully in control. The price changes depends on the bid activity, but it shares some aspects and it's hard to come up with a definition of dynamic pricing that rules out all types of auctions. Oh my god. Surge pricing. Many companies, most famously ride-sharing company Uber, will respond dynamically to changes in supply in order to price goods and services differently. For Uber, this frequently happens on stormy nights. When more people take cabs, they are more desirable, all right? Storms, more generally, are a great source of examples. Portable goods like flashlights and batteries often become more expensive. Also note that taking advantage of duress to change prices for staple goods is illegal in many areas of the world. Well, yeah. Okay.
Busy times, okay. None of the comparisons are particularly apt, since none of them so subtly manipulate their customers, but Bill goes to great lengths to defend his platform, as you might expect, even going so far as to claim that dynamic pricing is far less likely to harm the game industry than attitudes like mine, which he presents as, and I quote, deliberately rejecting best practices from other industries in the name of an illogical and inconsistent purity, and continuing to lose money on the vast majority of games that are created, regardless of quality. After publishing the preemptively argumentative article, Bill Grosso sent it to me and asked if I had any other questions. I did find his piece a little unsatisfactory, dodging the ethics issue with a dismissive everybody does it so it's okay rhetoric, and using extreme examples of predatory pricing, such as overcharging for medical supplies in order to make itself look better. And honey, if you need to compare yourself to the pharmaceutical industry to look good, I don't know what to tell you.
Oh my god, especially if it's like the pharmaceutical industry in the United States.
In any case, you can read the article yourself at Gamasutra, and I highly recommend reading the lengthy comment response below, which does a good job highlighting how Grosso/Grosso, I'm not entirely sure, glosses/glosses over the concept of taking advantage of customers, as well as the inadequacy of his comparisons with other industries. Despite initially friendly correspondence with Bill, the CEO became increasingly derisive and snarky the more he seemed to learn about me. He made it clear he'd been looking me up, bringing up the fact I recently published a podcast entitled Fart Porn Specialist to make some sort of point, and rather flippantly blew me off when I asked for more details, despite him contacting me after a long period of silence to, you know, offer more details himself. After telling me that his Gamasutra article answered everything adequately, I took it as the company's official response. Bill's write-up did address some of my queries, but I feel it ducked a number of them, including these questions that I had explicitly asked. With microtransactions already regularly emulating the psychological effects of gambling, what measures do you take to make sure scientific revenue is responsibly implemented, and what duty do you feel, if any, to the end users playing these games?
God.
Are users of said games ever put off when they learn they may be buying something their fellow players paid less for?
Bro, if that was actually a thing, oh my God. For like, I understand, like, this is more a thing for like cosmetics or whatever, but is this a thing for like pay for power, pay for convenience, like modern day was it live service games? Oh my God.
Is there not a risk of saturating the market to the point of breaking, with games ramping up new and more complex ways of generating revenue, and an overwhelming number of games offering minimal gameplay with large microtransactions? How much more can the industry take before it collapses? I also wanted to know if scientific revenue had moved beyond mobile games and was looking at, approached by, or even implemented in larger games for console and PC, but the increasingly cagey CEO seemed entirely uninterested in touching that one. According to Scientific Revenue's website though, it does at least work really well with Unity. Oh, it's a shame Digital Homicide never jumped on that when they had the chance. Oh well. While the Scientific Revenue boss
I never played anything with Unity or whatever. I don't even know what the heck even just flashed on the screen. I'm clueless.
Claims that the death of the industry is far more likely to be the fault of people like me rather than organisations like his, I can personally say that I gave up on the mobile games market specifically because monetization had gotten so overbearing, so oversaturated, so overly manipulative that I couldn't stand it anymore. I was a huge proponent of mobile gaming when it first rose to popularity, going so far as to defend it from quote-unquote hardcore gamers who continually called mobile games casual trash for trashy casuals. But you can only see so many pitifully cloying Clash of Clans ripoffs.
Bro, like, look at all of this. Like, I've actually seen most of these games. Like, the few times that I open up, like, the Play Store to, like, look for an app or something. And, like, I will peruse and just click on, like, the Games tab or whatever. And it's literally just all of this. Just all of it. Oh my God.
Before you feel overwhelmed and underwhelmed at the same time. You can only play so many games that feature minimal or self-playing gameplay offset by constant harassment to spend more money before you close the App Store in fucking disgust. Cell phone gaming had a bright future once. A long time ago in the past. Mobile devs these days allegedly only care about the money to be made off the so-called whales and dolphins. You know, the big and mid-tier spenders.
Yeah.
Hell, this show's own art director does game design on the side, and he's told me about his first-hand experience with mobile studios and how they'd email him to only talk about the money they plan to make. No word of game design or anything, just the end result. A big, fat ka-ching. By the time I downloaded an iOS Dynasty Warriors game only to find out it played its fucking self and continually forced me into the marketplace with too many currencies to keep track of, I realized mobile gaming was boned for good. It's done. It'll keep making money off its...
Yeah, that should be illegal. Like, if your game has like multiple forms of currency to mask the amount of real world money you are spending in an attempt to separate you from like, so like if you have a $20 bill in real life, you can see that it's like right there in front of you. But if you just have like your account or whatever on a phone, it's like, hey, do you want to pay $20 for these like stack of coins or whatever, or crystals or gems or whatever? It doesn't feel like $20 because it's just some like zero like numbers on a screen. It doesn't feel like $20. Whereas if you have like maybe a stack of ones, like 20 ones in your hand, it feels, you can feel it. I don't know, man.
It's whales and dolphins until the bubble eventually bursts, but abandon hope, ye who enter looking for quality, for the state of mobile gaming today is, in my professional opinion, fucking shit. Not that Cyrev, that's my call word for it, not that Cyrev would agree, of course. It's all just best practices, and any claim that games have been ruined by an oversaturation of in-app purchases is just apocalyptic rhetoric. Bill did a good job of painting me and those like me as overreacting doom singers. He's not the first person whose cage I've rattled to do it, and he sure as shit won't be the last, but I can only speak from experience. I, once an adamant defender of mobile games, no longer play them because they're shit. Except Steppy Pants. You're still cool, Steppy Pants. I mean, you don't use scientific revenue, do you, Steppy Pants? Don't break my heart. Don't break my heart. Unfortunately for Bill, who I'm sure is a nice enough bloke, everything scientific revenue says about itself makes my fucking skin crawl. The way it talks about players giving off pricing signals, the way it claims you can turn free users into paid ones, it drips with the kind of smarmy slime you could only find at a modern tech company. Companies like this are
That's just a good word, smarmy.
Culture that describes humans as aquatic mammals in order to insultingly reference their spending habits. The corporate culture that can't stop using the word audience retention because anything else might not sound creepy and robotic enough. The corporate culture that brought us King. You know, the Candy Crush people. That completely wretched arsehole of a business with a history spottier than Spotty from Super Ted.
Bro, I played Candy Crush. I never spent any money on it because when I played Candy Crush, I played it where you could change the time and date on your phone or whatever, and it would just like reset your lives. So as long as you wanted to keep playing, you just reset the time and date and you just keep playing.
No, go read that Gama Sutra post. You might even find yourself agreeing with some of Scientific Revenue's arguments. Everybody does it, dynamic pricing is fine, charging people different prices for the same game content is fair because not everybody has the same income, different pricing isn't wrong if people are paying for it.
Bro, imagine if he applied all of these bullet points to like real world items. You know? It's only then, because you can feel it, it's in front of you. It's not a digital product, something that's just in the void of your phone or whatever, or your computer, you know? Imagine if food was dynamically priced or whatever. I mean, granted, it kind of is, you know? You know, you go to like a burger at one place, it's not going to be the same exact, you know, type of burger at another place, but like, imagine if you go to McDonald's like on a Monday and you and your friend buy like a Big Mac. You buy a Big Mac and that shit's like just a sandwich, like $5. Okay. You watch your friend go up. His Big Mac, $10. What? What the heck happened? Why are the prices different? Why do I got a different price and he got a different price? You know, it feels weird when it's applied to like real world products. But he wants to use like auctions. It has like a fucking thing. As a fucking example. Like, motherfucker. Like, if I go to Walmart, they're not auctioning off toilet paper. They're not auctioning off milk. All right.
Whether you agree or not though, what has become indisputable is that monetization is not optional. Industry thralls can yell it till they're blue in the face, but they fucking ain't. It doesn't want to be optional. It never wanted to be optional. It doesn't want to be ignored, and it sure as shit doesn't want a single one of you to get away with not paying the piper, regardless of whether or not you already paid an entrance fee in the first friggin' place. I couldn't find anywhere where scientific revenue says what games it's affected or even how many, but it proudly states that games using it have been downloaded over 100 million times. That's a lot of games collecting a lot of data to learn how better to make you pay. And the moment this sort of shit definitively, provably makes its way to so-called AAA games, any argument about so-called player choice and optional time-saving purchases go...
Well, again, another news flash, Jim. It's 5 years later, and AAA games have this shit in there. So, sorry, man.
Goes right out the fucking window. Not only that, but can you just imagine EA, Activision, Ubisoft, Warner Brothers and 2K getting in on this shit? It's gonna be an all-you-can-fuck buffet. The world of AAA games is sadly looking increasingly like a total fucking write-off. I mean, hell, EA just shit-canned Visceral and scrapped their single-player Star Wars game in order to pursue a more game-as-service model. And yeah, I heard that the Star Wars game Visceral was working on was apparently a mess. Apparently. But that doesn't change the fact we're not getting a single-player Star Wars game on its own at all now. Because that shit just don't make enough money anymore. Oh, it could make money. Lots of money. It just wouldn't make all of the money in the fucking world, so fuck it. The loot box craze that's taken gaming by storm in 2017 has turned too many otherwise quality games into glorified gambling simulators. Gacha games with shameless opportunities to render the gameplay itself meaningless in favour of just buying your way up the ladder. From Shadow of War to Star Wars Battlefront 2, even after EA toned it down due to backlash, games from major publishers...
I will say the whole like gacha type game industry is like, I'm pretty sure that's like, isn't that really region specific? Like gacha games in US aren't as popular as gacha in China. You know, it's more common in China, so it's more accepted. Whereas in the West, the moment a game is discovered that it's pay to win, that game stonks are just down arrows, down red arrows, minus signs, negatives.
Are sinking into a slime pit that mobile games have been masturbating into for quite some time already, and companies like Scientific Revenue are ready and willing to make that decline all the more easy. Effortless, in fact, according to their sales pitch. I could be wrong with my... what was it Bill called it? My Mad Max tale? But I'll just say this. The mainstream game industry has become... mediocre. And I've never felt more on the money than when corporate mouthpieces take time out of their day to undermine me. And with the amount of mouthpieces doing that lately, I'm starting to think they're really uncomfortable with me shining a flashlight in their insect nests. Now let's all play a game I've invented in Shadow of War called Let's Fuck with the Orc Merchant. Oh, you don't like that, do you? Oh, do you want me to buy it? No, I'll buy it. Just kidding. Yeah, no, we'll buy it. No. I'm gonna do this forever, you Orc Merchant fuck. That's what you get for representing everything I fucking hate. No, fuck no. Yeah, come on. No cigar, friend. No sale at all.
He just goes in and out.
Now, I know what some people will want to say to rebuke today's video. I can already see the posts on NeoGAF and Reddit now. talking about, well, it's just the free-to-play market, it's just the mobile market, it's nothing to worry about, you're making mountains out of molehills again, Jim. Well, let me just remind you that I am sort of the Cassandra of video games, okay? A lot of people tell me I'm chatting shit, and then it turns out that I wasn't really chatting much shit at all.
Nope.
Let me remind you that I was the first to say that Steam was in dire need of quality control, that I saw where that was going and accurately called it. And I remember the pushback from fans and from games media itself. Oh yeah, I remember the rebuttal articles from game journalists. Oh, Steam is in no need of quality control. But now it's practically on vogue to say it. Now it's popular to say it. I pushed back against the loot box trend as far back as Overwatch, but it was Blizzard! Mother's favourite Blizzard, so Jim, you're overreacting. I really don't see this as a problem. It's just cosmetic! Now look at the fucking state we're in.
Yep.
Because as I've said, constantly, publishers want all of your money, not just a little bit. And if you give them an inch, they'll take the fucking yard. The country, the planet, the universe. I was right. I called it. I warned you. You know, I'm so good at this shit, I called Visceral being shut down years ago. Not that I'm happy about being right there.
Dang.
That's what I'd put money on closing. It's got the hallmarks already. Its Dead Space series was awesome until EA started EAing it up, with Dead Space 3 restructured to be a hive of microtransactions and DLC. With Dead Space not being the cross-medium smash hit EA weirdly expected it to be, Visceral is looking like a classic studio with which its owner knows not what to do. I hope I'm wrong, I like Visceral a lot, but if Visceral's not here in the next few years, I can't say I'll be surprised. All I'm saying is, lately, I've had to put up with a lot of so-called experts and a lot of pundits telling me that I'm clueless, that I'm deluded, that I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But I'm here to say that when Jim Sterling calls his shot, he very rarely misses. And another thing I'm here to say, and you know I'm gonna say it, is thank God for me. The Cassandra of video games.
Dang. What a baller. How am I not subbed to Jim? This is... and he put it as Mortal Kombat. This was awesome. This was like way ahead of its time. Yeah, it's not really changed. It's just circling the drain at this point, man. It is what it is. All right, this is a good video. Maybe I'll see some like more like current stuff or whatever. But like I said, this just randomly popped into my feed one time, and I just wanted to, you know, see what was up. See what was up 5 years ago. It's the same thing 5 years later. All right, so good shit. Take it easy, man. Later.